Every scar is a chapter no one saw coming. For 4 months, the personnel at Fort Bragg's Advanced Marksmanship Training Center had watched civilian contractor Jessica Detail Morgan methodically clean weapons after daily training sessions. Assuming her meticulous attention to firearm maintenance reflected perfectionist tendencies rather than recognizing muscle memory developed during 18 years of Marine Corps service, where weapon malfunction in combat zones meant death for entire fire teams, depending on her precision. They witnessed her systematic approach to disassembly procedures and cleaning protocols that exceeded standard contractor requirements. Mistaking professional thoroughness for civilian overcompensation rather than understanding that her movements reflected thousands of hours maintaining weapons in hostile environments where sand, moisture, and enemy fire demanded absolute reliability from equipment that kept Marines alive during extended combat operations. What they couldn't see beneath her contractor uniform and civilian identification badge was a distinctive burn scar across her left hand, marking where molten metal from an improvised explosive device had seared through her combat glove during a firefight in Fallujah when her squad had walked into carefully planned insurgent ambush that killed 4 Marines and left her with injuries that would eventually end her military career. Morgan had accepted the civilian contractor position not because she couldn't handle military weapons training, but because her medical retirement following multiple combat deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan had left her struggling with hypervigilance and startle responses that made civilian employment challenging, while seeking meaningful work that utilized her extensive firearms expertise without triggering the combat memories that haunted her transition to civilian life. The scar itself represented more than combat injury documentation, as the burn pattern commemorated the moment when her weapon had saved her squad's remaining members during that Fallujah ambush, when her ability to maintain fire discipline under extreme duress had enabled tactical withdrawal that brought everyone home alive despite overwhelming enemy advantages and equipment failures that should have resulted in total casualty situation. Her decision to wear long sleeves even during summer heat stemmed from understanding that visible combat scars attracted questions about military service that might complicate her contractor status, while drawing attention to traumatic experiences that required continued psychological processing through VA counseling sessions that helped her manage transition challenges and survivor guilt that accompanied her medical retirement. The cleaning routine had become therapeutic ritual that connected her to military service while providing sense of purpose during difficult adjustment period, where former Marines struggled to find meaningful civilian employment that honored their combat experience and utilized specialized skills that didn't translate easily to corporate environments or traditional civilian careers. Welcome to Silent Salute, where we reveal how America's most experienced combat veterans sometimes transition to contractor roles while carrying invisible reminders of battlefield service. Their extraordinary weapons expertise, hidden beneath routine maintenance duties, while their combat-tested knowledge remains dormant until recognition moments that transform entire training facilities and remind everyone that heroes continue serving in unexpected ways. Before we share this incredible story of hidden valor that shocked an entire military training center when a single scar revealed decades of classified combat experience, tell us in the comments about a time when you discovered someone's combat scars that completely changed your understanding of their military background and the battles they survived overseas. And if you believe that our most experienced veterans often work without recognition while processing traumatic memories through activities that help maintain connection to military service and honor fallen comrades, hit that subscribe button to support our mission of celebrating those whose classified courage continues protecting freedom through civilian service that transcends uniform requirements and reminds us that military excellence never truly retires. Fort Bragg's Advanced Marksmanship Training Center operated as premier facility where special operations personnel and conventional forces developed shooting skills essential for modern combat operations, supported by civilian contractors whose specialized expertise enabled training effectiveness through equipment maintenance, range safety, and logistics coordination that maintained facility readiness during intensive training cycles that prepared warriors for deployment to hostile environments worldwide. The facility itself represented cutting-edge small arms training technology, featuring multiple shooting ranges with computerized scoring systems, ballistics laboratories, and specialized equipment that enabled soldiers to develop marksmanship capabilities through scientifically designed training protocols that pushed shooting performance to levels required for special operations and urban combat scenarios where precision meant survival. Range Master Sergeant First Class Robert Bullseye Patterson managed facility operations with military precision that ensured training standards met demanding requirements of special operations units whose mission success depended on individual marksmanship excellence and crew-served weapons proficiency that could determine battlefield outcomes during high-stakes combat operations where every round counted. Patterson's own background included multiple combat deployments as sniper team leader and marksmanship instructor, providing him with technical expertise and battlefield experience that enabled him to recognize exceptional shooting skills while identifying personnel whose weapons handling suggested combat experience that exceeded normal training backgrounds. The contractor support staff included former military personnel whose specialized knowledge enhanced training effectiveness, while civilian employees provided administrative and logistics support that enabled military instructors to focus on developing soldier capabilities rather than equipment maintenance and facility management that required dedicated attention to detail and professional competence. Daily training schedules included intensive marksmanship instruction for various military units, from basic infantry squads to special operations teams whose deployment requirements demanded shooting excellence that exceeded standard military qualifications and required specialized instruction that prepared warriors for combat scenarios where marksmanship superiority provided tactical advantage. Morgan, you've been handling weapons maintenance for months with attention to detail that exceeds contractor requirements and suggests familiarity with combat weapons systems, Sergeant Patterson observed during routine equipment inspection, his professional curiosity finally overcoming military restraint. Your cleaning procedures and technical knowledge indicate background with military firearms that goes beyond civilian contractor training. Have you considered positions that would better utilize whatever weapons experience prepared you for this level of technical competence and professional handling of military equipment? Morgan continued her systematic cleaning routine with precision learned during actual combat operations where weapons failure meant death for Marines, depending on her expertise. Understanding that proper maintenance enabled reliability during firefights where malfunction could compromise mission success and endanger lives of fellow warriors who trusted her technical competence. Her weapons handling reflected military training that emphasized systematic procedures, attention to detail, and psychological comfort with firearms that enabled her to work efficiently while maintaining safety standards that protected facility personnel and training participants from accidents that could result from improper equipment maintenance or handling procedures. Sergeant, proper weapons maintenance ensures operational safety and training effectiveness that enables soldier development and mission readiness. Morgan replied carefully, her response revealing nothing about combat experience while acknowledging his professional observation. These cleaning procedures support training operations and equipment reliability that require attention to detail and systematic approach that maintains facility standards and protects personnel safety during intensive training cycles. Senior Contractor Supervisor David Admin Chun, whose responsibility for contractor performance included evaluating technical competence and identifying employees whose capabilities might be underutilized, had begun questioning Morgan's apparent overqualification for basic maintenance duties that seemed inconsistent with her obvious weapons expertise and professional bearing around military equipment. Chun possessed administrative knowledge about contractor backgrounds and qualifications that enabled him to identify unusual patterns in job performance, making Morgan's situation particularly puzzling because her technical skills and military bearing suggested experience that exceeded her current position requirements and might warrant promotion to more advanced responsibilities. Morgan, your weapons knowledge and handling procedures suggest background that exceeds typical contractor preparation for military facility work, Chun observed during performance evaluation meeting, his administrative curiosity reflecting genuine interest in appropriate job placement. Most contractors require extensive orientation to understand military weapons systems and safety protocols, but you immediately adapted to procedures that require technical expertise and comfort with firearms that suggest specialized background or training that might be better utilized in advanced positions. Morgan's response reflected understanding gained from military service while maintaining privacy about combat experience that she wasn't ready to discuss with civilian supervisors who couldn't fully comprehend the psychological challenges that accompanied transition from active duty to contractor employment in military environment. Her careful balance between acknowledging professional competence and protecting personal privacy required diplomatic responses that satisfied administrative curiosity without revealing combat background that might complicate her employment status or trigger unwanted attention to medical issues that required ongoing treatment through VA support services. Effective weapons maintenance requires understanding of military equipment and safety procedures that enable facility operations and training effectiveness. Morgan responded diplomatically, maintaining professionalism while protecting privacy. Technical competence develops through attention to detail and systematic approach that ensures equipment reliability and personnel safety during training operations that require professional handling of military firearms and range equipment. The curiosity intensified when facility staff noticed Morgan's apparent familiarity with specialized weapons systems and tactical equipment that exceeded normal contractor training, leading to speculation about her background and previous experience that might explain her exceptional technical knowledge and comfortable handling of advanced military firearms that required specialized expertise. Her comfort with various weapons systems particularly attracted attention because she demonstrated familiarity with equipment that most contractors never encountered, including specialized rifles, crew-served weapons, and tactical accessories that required technical knowledge typically possessed only by personnel with extensive military experience or specialized training backgrounds. Marksmanship instructor Staff Sergeant Lisa Precision Rodriguez, whose own combat experience included deployment as designated marksman and weapons training specialist, organized informal observations designed to assess whether Morgan's apparent expertise represented actual military experience or exceptional civilian training that had developed extraordinary technical competence with military firearms. Rodriguez possessed technical expertise and combat background that enabled her to recognize advanced weapons handling skills, having worked with special operations personnel and military contractors whose backgrounds included combat experience that exceeded normal training requirements and suggested specialized military service. Morgan, your handling of military weapons systems and technical knowledge suggests specialized training that exceeds contractor preparation and indicates background in military firearms or tactical instruction, Rodriguez observed during equipment inspection, her professional experience enabling her to recognize capabilities that suggested combat or specialized training background. If your experience includes military service or specialized training, you should understand weapons systems that prepare contractors for working with advanced military equipment and tactical accessories that require technical expertise. Morgan recognized the questioning as professional interest from combat veteran rather than casual curiosity, understanding that military personnel developed bonds based on shared service experience while maintaining natural interest in backgrounds that couldn't be verified through normal administrative channels or personnel records that might not fully document contractor qualifications. Her response required careful consideration of privacy needs balanced against professional respect for fellow veteran whose technical competence and combat experience deserved acknowledgement without revealing details about medical retirement and traumatic combat experiences that required continued psychological processing. Rodriguez, weapons systems require technical understanding and systematic maintenance that ensures operational reliability and safety standards that protect personnel during training operations. Morgan replied respectfully, her military background enabling her to provide technical response without revealing classified service details. These capabilities develop through consistent attention to detail and understanding of equipment requirements that maintain facility standards and training effectiveness. The workplace speculation escalated when military instructors began discussing Morgan's apparent overqualification for maintenance duties, leading to conversations about her motivations for accepting contractor work that seemed beneath her obvious technical competence and weapons expertise that suggested military or law enforcement background that warranted advanced responsibilities. These discussions occurred during informal gatherings after training sessions, when military personnel shared experiences and discussed facility operations, creating an environment where Morgan's privacy about her background became increasingly noticeable to veterans who understood military culture and recognized signs of combat experience that exceeded normal contractor backgrounds. Facility Commander Lieutenant Colonel James "Gunfighter" Thompson, whose responsibility for overall operations included ensuring appropriate utilization of contractor capabilities and identifying personnel whose skills might enhance training effectiveness, decided that direct inquiry might reveal information that would explain Morgan's unusual competence and determine appropriate job placement that maximized her apparent expertise. Thompson possessed command experience and combat background that enabled him to recognize exceptional personnel and identify individuals whose capabilities exceeded their current positions, making his interest in Morgan's background both professionally motivated and personally curious about veteran transition challenges that he understood from his own service experience. "Morgan, I've observed your weapons handling and technical competence during facility operations, and I'm curious about your background and qualifications that prepared you for this level of expertise with military firearms," Thompson stated during private meeting, his tone reflecting command interest rather than casual inquiry. "Your performance suggests experience that exceeds normal contractor capabilities, and your professional bearing indicates background that might be better utilized in advanced positions that require specialized weapons knowledge and technical expertise that could enhance our training programs." Morgan understood the implications of Lieutenant Colonel Thompson's inquiry, but chose not to reveal combat service that would complicate her contractor status, while potentially triggering medical evaluations and disability assessments that could affect her employment and personal privacy regarding combat injuries and psychological treatment that supported her civilian transition. Her decision reflected careful consideration of career stability needs that protected her economic security while maintaining therapeutic routine that had become an essential part of her recovery from combat trauma and adjustment to civilian life that required gradual healing rather than sudden exposure to military scrutiny that might compromise her progress. "Colonel, my technical background has prepared me for weapons maintenance that supports facility operations and training effectiveness through attention to detail and systematic approach that ensures equipment reliability," Morgan replied carefully, maintaining respect for his rank while protecting personal privacy. "These contractor responsibilities provide meaningful work that utilizes relevant skills while supporting military training missions that require professional competence and safety consciousness." The incident that would expose Morgan's hidden identity occurred during routine weapons inspection when safety protocols required removal of protective gloves during detailed examination of rifle components, revealing the distinctive burn scar across her left hand that immediately attracted attention from military personnel familiar with combat injury patterns and battlefield trauma that created characteristic scarring. This safety requirement existed to ensure proper tactile examination of weapons components that might be compromised by glove thickness, while enabling inspectors to identify potential safety issues that required direct hand contact with equipment surfaces and moving parts that could affect weapons reliability and training safety. Weapons Inspector Master Sergeant Robert Check Williams was supervising Morgan's inspection procedures when safety protocols necessitated glove removal, exposing the burn scar that immediately triggered recognition based on his own combat experience and familiarity with battlefield injuries that created distinctive scarring patterns recognizable to experienced military personnel. "Ma'am, that scar pattern appears consistent with combat burn injuries from explosive devices or hot metal contact during hostile engagement," Williams observed with professional concern, his combat experience enabling him to recognize scarring that suggested battlefield trauma rather than civilian accident. These injuries typically result from IED explosions or weapons malfunction during combat operations that create distinctive burn patterns recognizable to personnel with deployment experience and battlefield medical training. Morgan realized that safety requirements had exposed combat injury that she had been concealing for employment reasons, understanding that her battlefield scar would trigger questions about her military background and medical retirement that might complicate her contractor status, while drawing unwanted attention to traumatic experiences that required continued private management. The scar that Master Sergeant Williams discovered represented years of combat service and specific battlefield trauma that included technical details about the Fallujah ambush, weapon malfunction, and tactical response that had saved Marine lives during overwhelming enemy contact that tested every aspect of her military training and personal courage under extreme duress. Lieutenant Colonel Thompson, summoned to examine the discovered combat scar and assess its implications for contractor background verification, immediately recognized the burn pattern as consistent with battlefield injury that suggested extensive combat experience rather than civilian accident or normal occupational hazard that might occur during contractor duties. Master Sergeant Williams, document this injury pattern and request immediate verification of this contractor's military service record, Thompson instructed, his command experience recognizing that combat scarring indicated service background that should have been documented during hiring process. These burn injuries suggest battlefield trauma that typically accompanies combat deployments and military service that requires appropriate recognition and support services for veteran contractors. The verification process that followed Morgan's recognition revealed her actual military service record as decorated Marine Corps veteran whose combat deployments had included multiple tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, while her medical retirement documentation explained transition from active duty to civilian contractor employment that utilized her weapons expertise while supporting her psychological recovery. Military records review disclosed extent of her combat service that included infantry operations, weapons training instruction, and battlefield experiences that had earned commendations for valor under fire, while medical documentation explained the traumatic injuries and psychological challenges that had necessitated medical retirement and ongoing VA support services. Lieutenant Colonel Thompson, reviewing Morgan's classified military records and combat experience, realized that his facility had unknowingly employed a decorated combat veteran whose weapons expertise and military experience exceeded most active duty personnel and represented exceptional qualifications that deserved recognition and appropriate utilization. His understanding of her situation immediately shifted from administrative curiosity about skilled contractor to command responsibility for supporting combat veteran whose service record demanded respect and whose transition challenges required appropriate accommodation and recognition of her sacrifices for military service. Ms. Morgan, your military service record shows extensive combat experience and weapons expertise throughout multiple deployment theaters, including operations that earned recognition for valor under fire, Thompson said during private meeting, his tone reflecting command respect for her service sacrifice. Your contractor file failed to document 18 years of Marine Corps service and medical retirement following combat injuries sustained during operations that exemplify Marine Corps excellence and battlefield courage that deserves appropriate recognition and support. Morgan's response reflected the dignity of someone whose combat experience had prepared her for recognition while maintaining privacy about medical issues and traumatic memories that had complicated her transition from military service to civilian employment that provided stability during challenging adjustment period. Her careful acknowledgement balanced appreciation for his respect with continued need for privacy about combat experiences that required ongoing psychological treatment and personal healing that civilian recognition might complicate despite good intentions from military personnel who understood veteran transition challenges. Colonel, my Marine Corps service included combat operations and weapons training responsibilities that prepared me for contractor work that supports military training missions, Morgan replied respectfully, maintaining dignity while acknowledging his recognition. When this position became available, my military experience provided relevant background for weapons maintenance, while allowing continued service to military community in civilian capacity that supports my personal recovery and transition goals. The investigation that followed Morgan's recognition revealed administrative oversight that had failed to document her veteran status during contractor hiring process, while her combat experience record explained her exceptional performance and familiarity with military weapons systems that had exceeded normal contractor capabilities and attracted professional attention from facility personnel. Administrative review disclosed that contractor application process hadn't included adequate veteran status verification, creating situation where decorated combat Marine had been hired as general contractor without appropriate recognition of service background that deserved special consideration and might have qualified her for advanced positions that better utilized her expertise. Marksmanship instructor Rodriguez, whose own combat experience included battlefield operations and weapons training, approached Morgan with obvious professional respect for Marine Corps service that represented shared military culture and combat experience that created bonds between veterans regardless of branch affiliation or current employment status. Rodriguez's response reflected understanding that Morgan's background represented service excellence that transcended branch rivalry, while recognizing that contractor work provided meaningful employment that honored military experience through continued service to military training mission that prepared current warriors for combat deployment. Jessica, your Marine Corps combat experience and weapons expertise demonstrate continued dedication to military excellence that honors service background while supporting current training mission, Rodriguez said with genuine respect, her own military background enabling her to appreciate significance of Morgan's service record. Your transition to contractor position while maintaining professional competence honors Marine Corps tradition and provides valuable expertise that enhances facility training capabilities through example of service dedication. The ceremony that followed Morgan's recognition became teaching moment for entire facility, demonstrating how decorated combat veterans sometimes served in contractor roles while contributing military experience and weapons expertise that enhanced training effectiveness through unique understanding of combat requirements and battlefield realities that prepared current soldiers for deployment challenges. Facility personnel learned that Morgan's weapons maintenance represented more than contractor responsibility, but continued service to military mission that honored her combat experience, while providing meaningful work that supported her transition from active duty to civilian life that maintained connection to military community and purpose. Ms. Morgan represents the kind of combat experience and weapons expertise that defines military excellence and professional dedication that inspires everyone working in military training environments. Lieutenant Colonel Thompson announced during facility formation that acknowledged her service without compromising her privacy. Her Marine Corps background and continued competence demonstrate professionalism that enhances our training mission while honoring combat service that exemplifies military values and battlefield courage. The mentoring program that Morgan agreed to establish became legacy that enhanced facility weapons knowledge while providing her with meaningful service that honored her combat background by ensuring personnel received training that could prevent accidents during weapons handling and maintenance procedures that required professional expertise and safety consciousness. Her willingness to share technical knowledge without revealing classified operational details created educational opportunities that prepared military personnel for weapons situations where her battle-proven expertise could prove critical during actual combat operations and equipment challenges that exceeded standard training scenarios. Her combat-tested weapons expertise transformed facility maintenance procedures while creating educational opportunities that prepared personnel for equipment situations where her battlefield knowledge could prove critical during actual combat operations and weapons challenges that required technical competence and professional handling that honored military standards. Morgan's influence extended beyond technical instruction to include lessons about professional competence, military bearing, and service dedication that inspired facility personnel to approach their responsibilities with greater appreciation for combat veterans whose expertise enhanced training effectiveness while honoring sacrifices made during military service. Lieutenant Colonel Thompson, realizing that his assessment of Morgan's capabilities had been based on incomplete information about her combat experience and Marine Corps service, approached her with obvious command respect and appreciation for service record that he had failed to recognize despite his extensive military experience. His understanding evolved from viewing her as skilled contractor to recognizing her as combat veteran whose expertise and service sacrifice deserved acknowledgement and whose transition challenges required command support that honored her military background while protecting her civilian employment stability. Jessica, I owe you formal recognition for your Marine Corps service and combat experience that represents military excellence and battlefield courage that deserves respect, Thompson said during private conversation, his command authority emphasizing sincerity of his acknowledgement. Your combat record and weapons expertise explain capabilities I didn't understand, while your professional bearing reflects Marine Corps values that enhance our facility operations. You've been contributing classified knowledge to our mission while maintaining professionalism that characterizes combat Marines transitioning to civilian service. Morgan used her recognition to establish veteran contractor support programs that combine combat experience with civilian employment insights, creating assistance opportunities that help transitioning military personnel find meaningful work that honored their service, while providing economic stability during challenging adjustment periods that required community support and understanding. Her program development reflected understanding that veteran transition required civilian employment that maintained connection to military mission while providing healing opportunities that honored service sacrifice through continued contribution to military community that recognized combat experience and technical expertise developed during active duty service. The most important lesson from today's recognition and the ceremony that followed, Morgan explained during veteran transition seminars that became standard throughout Fort Bragg contractor programs, is that combat experience and technical expertise continue serving military mission through civilian contractor positions that honor service background while supporting personal transition goals. Whether you're conducting combat operations or maintaining training equipment, service excellence continues beyond active duty through professional competence that maintains military standards. The contractor position had provided Morgan with opportunity to heal while processing combat trauma and medical challenges that had ended her military career, demonstrating that exceptional veterans could contribute effectively in civilian roles while maintaining capabilities and service dedication that exceeded normal employment expectations and inspired others through example of continued excellence. Her therapeutic work routine had evolved into meaningful career that honored her military service while providing economic stability and personal satisfaction that supported her recovery from combat injuries and psychological challenges that required ongoing treatment and community support from military personnel who understood veteran transition difficulties. General Patricia Warrior Martinez, visiting Fort Bragg for training effectiveness assessment and facility evaluation designed to identify best practices for military contractor utilization, had requested tour of training facilities to evaluate support services that enabled mission success. When Lieutenant Colonel Thompson introduced Morgan and explained her combat background that had been recently discovered through accident that revealed battlefield scarring, General Martinez's visit represented command-level interest in contractor programs that effectively utilized veteran expertise while supporting transition challenges that affected military readiness and community support for personnel leaving active duty service for civilian employment that maintained connection to military mission. Ms. Morgan, your Marine Corps combat service represents battlefield excellence and weapons expertise that honors military tradition and demonstrates continued service dedication. General Martinez stated during facility inspection, her command authority emphasizing significance of Morgan's service record. Your transition to contractor position while maintaining professional competence demonstrates veteran resilience and provides invaluable expertise that enhances training effectiveness through combat experience that cannot be replicated through classroom instruction alone. The General's recognition of Morgan's combat service created facility-wide awareness of veteran contributions to training mission, while her command acknowledgement of contractor programs validated approaches that honored military service through civilian employment opportunities that utilized combat experience and technical expertise for continued military mission support. Official command recognition of Morgan's service record provided validation that her civilian transition represented effective model for veteran employment that could be replicated throughout military facilities requiring technical expertise and professional competence that honored combat experience while supporting personal recovery and economic stability. Years later, when Morgan established comprehensive veteran contractor programs while maintaining facility employment and training responsibilities that had supported her recovery, her story continued inspiring personnel who understood that combat excellence often belonged to contractors whose service records exceeded their current civilian positions but represented continued dedication to military mission through professional competence. Her civilian career had created lasting impact that extended beyond individual transition to include facility programs that served other veterans seeking meaningful employment that honored their military service while providing economic opportunities and community connection that supported successful adjustment to civilian life. Her example reminded everyone that at Fort Bragg, as in all military facilities employing veteran contractors, the most exceptional expertise often belonged to personnel whose combat service had been earned through battlefield operations, where courage meant protecting fellow Marines under hostile fire rather than seeking recognition or career advancement that characterized normal military progression. The moment when General Martinez recognized her Marine Corps service had lasted only minutes, but its impact continued for years, demonstrating that combat excellence often remained hidden until circumstances revealed scarring that transformed understanding of veteran dedication and military sacrifice that continued serving through civilian employment that maintained connection to warrior culture and military values. Her story became inspiration for other combat veterans struggling with transition challenges, proving that military excellence could continue through civilian contractor positions that honored service background while providing meaningful work that supported recovery from combat trauma and maintained connection to military mission that gave purpose to post-service careers. This story was brought to you by Silent Salute, where we honor America's hidden warriors who continue serving in ways that military communities rarely recognize, until circumstances reveal the extraordinary service backgrounds that make their current contributions possible through technical expertise and professional competence earned during combat operations that shaped their character and capabilities. Before we leave you today, here's our question. Have you ever discovered that someone's combat scars revealed extraordinary military service that completely changed your understanding of their capabilities and the battles they survived during deployment operations that tested every aspect of their military training? Have you worked alongside veteran contractors whose professional competence masked combat experience while they served in civilian positions that seemed routine but represented continued service to military mission through technical expertise earned during battlefield operations? Tell us in the comments about moments when combat scars were revealed and transformed your perspective on someone's military experience and continued commitment to service excellence that honors fallen comrades and battlefield sacrifice through professional competence that exceeds civilian understanding. And if you believe that our most experienced combat veterans often work without recognition while carrying physical reminders of battlefield service that shape their capabilities and dedication to military excellence, hit that subscribe button to support our channel's mission of honoring those whose combat courage continues serving through civilian positions that maintain connection to warrior culture and military values that protect freedom. Nobody questions Morgan's weapons expertise anymore. Not after General Martinez recognized the Marine Corps service that revealed 18 years of combat operations where her technical competence and battlefield courage kept fellow Marines alive during operations that history may never fully record, but whose legacy continues through civilian service that honors military sacrifice while inspiring others toward excellence that transcends recognition and represents true warrior spirit that never retires from service to others.